We're here today in the ancient capital of England. This is Winchester. It's a thriving city with a busy high street and full of historical significance. But is it worth your time and money to come here? Well, today we are going to find out. Today we're looking for something to do, something to see for free, a top tourist attraction, somewhere to eat, and a hidden gem that we have found on the internet. And it looks like we've already made it to our first location. We've just found ourselves at the Cathedral. We've walked through the high street. It is so beautiful. The high street was so busy and lively. Keep in mind it's 10 a.m, it's just gone 10. It was such a nice experience and I'm so glad that we got up to come and have a look. We weren't meant to get here a little bit earlier, but you know what it's like. So we've just come out of the cathedral. That was one of the best architectural experiences I think I've ever had. That was so pretty. The music in there was lovely. It's also my dad's birthday at the time of filming. He's no longer with us and we got to light a candle for him as well. So that was just lovely. We didn't do much talking to camera in that because it just didn't feel right to do. That wasn't like what it's there for. We've officially gone and experienced it and it was great.
If you're a bit of a history nerd like me, it's an absolute must. You have to go and see it.
It's amazing.
It is one of the main historical attractions in the country, I would say, in terms of its history, the building, what it represents, the things, the sown seeds for like England as it is today that were done in this city, and the things that were done in that building were just, incredible. And yes, if you love your history, you have to come and see it. So here we are in Kneaded, a independent coffee shop and bakery, it seems. They have quite a lot on offer. They have like a whole bagel, sort of build your own bagel bar at the bottom, plus a lot of cakes, the usual stuff that you get in your bakeries. Didn't have loads of vegan options, but partially that's because we didn't ask, but I didn't think to ask because the vegan stuff was already labelled. There was only really two options, a vegan raspberry croissant, and what I went for was the vegan flapjack. It looks incredibly dense. There's raspberries and raisins and currants over the top, some chocolate as well. I'm looking forward to it. I've also got myself a black coffee to wash it down with, so I'm going to take a bite and let's see. That's really good. So it's probably important to note that the flapjack and coffee cost us, how much was it? £7.40. So it's expensive, but blimey, you get what you pay for. That is absolutely delicious. That is the perfect combination of flavours. Nothing feels drowned out, but nothing also feels completely overpowering. Very dense, so it's got that kind of filling element to it as well. And yeah, that is just really, really, really good. I would say it's 100% worth it for £7.40. With the coffee as well. That's a meal, a sweet meal.
God, that smells amazing. That smells like golden syrup. That's so good. That's the best flapjack I've ever had. Yeah. That's so worth the price. That's really nice coffee. I like that. So this coffee shop is called Kneaded. It looks like it's the only one. It doesn't look like it's a chain. It seems to only be in Winchester. It's so nice. The atmosphere here is really, really good as well. Their food is amazing. And I don't drink coffee. I don't drink caffeine. But this coffee, I just had a sip, is the best coffee I've ever tasted. So despite the fact it's got a reasonably higher price point, I think it's worth it, and I think I'd come back again in a heartbeat. They also have plant-based milk, so I saw oat milk on the shelf where they were preparing the coffees, so that is something to keep in mind as well. Definitely a good place to get your caffeine fix, and they didn't give you a lid by default, but they did have lids if you wanted one, so it's a bit of a preference for everyone, but it feels very much like they're doing their bit to try and save plastic where they can. All in all, I think this was a very good find. So it's just got to 20 past 11. It's definitely a lot busier now than it was when we first got here. We've just finished at Kneaded. What a lovely little cafe. I spoke to the staff member on the way out who was serving the coffees. It turns out that they have a local coffee supplier called Moon Roast, I think it was. And that supplier was only about 20 minutes away from Winchester. But that was the best coffee I've ever... I've never been able to drink black coffee. That would 100% turn me into a coffee drinker. And my body does not like coffee. That is, I think, the highest compliment I could possibly give. But she was also saying that there is like a sister coffee shop called Coffee, I think she said, at the end of the high street, but it's not a chain. There's like the 2 coffee shops and that's it. And they're both based here in Winchester. And I think that's really lovely. And you can tell that they care so much about what they do. It's just laced throughout their whole building. So I'm really excited that we chose to go there. And I'd love for them to do even more vegan options because I'd love to go back again. So now we're heading to our something to see for free. We're just walking through the market at the moment. There's so much interesting stuff. I haven't been to a market in ages. I don't know if this is standard or not. I love seeing stuff like this. I know that looks amazing. They do have charity shops on the high street as well, which I always like to see. Oxfam there, British Heart Foundation behind. Socks. Oh, we're almost at our something to see for free. To be fair, I think the market also counts. And we can now officially see it on camera. Just way over there in the distance. Alfie's! So the market was very vibrant. It was very buzzing. There was a lot of stuff that was going on. Maybe come right at market opening if you're someone who doesn't do well with crowds. But it was very it didn't feel too crowded. We managed to get through without many issues.
Yeah, I think it's still the morning is the thing. You come to that market at 1, 2, 3 p.m. and you're not going to be able to move. It's going to be so busy. So best thing to do if you're like me and you don't like crowds, get here first thing in the morning and get everything done by then, which is what we're doing today.
This is what we're walking up to. It is also another top tourist attraction in Winchester. People always talk about this. But for us, this is our something to see for free because you don't have to pay any kind of admission to walk up to him. Then again, he is in the middle of a very busy road, so maybe it's we can look at him from a distance kind of thing.
So behind me is the King Alfred the Great statue. Pretty magnificent. He's quite a culturally significant character here in Winchester and for the whole of England as well. If you don't know, he was the last king to really make a stand against the Viking invasion during the 9th century. The Last Kingdom book series by Bernard Cornwell and the TV show are somewhat based around King Alfred. He essentially rallied the English people and the English kings to fight back against the Vikings and essentially push them back out of England. He also, during his rule, sowed the seeds for what would later become the unification of all of the English kingdoms. During his life, that didn't happen. His descendants or his grandkids or his great-grandkids eventually did manage to unify the whole of England into one kingdom, but it was his work in a political sense and in a militaristic sense that eventually led to, instead of being separate kingdoms, England became one nation. It's also important to mention the significance of the sword. Obviously, it is a sword, but it's also a cross. A large part of Alfred's rule and the way that he ruled was all integrated with the church. He was an incredibly religious man, but he was also martially very skilled and tactically very skilled. And so having the sword held in his hand in the shape of a cross represents both sides of his governing style.
So now we are heading to our hidden gem. Now, for those of you who know Winchester, this isn't going to be a shock for you, but to those of you who are new to Winchester and maybe tourists, this is a thing you might not have known as there. But the general consensus online seems to be that this is the hidden gem in Winchester.
Having been in Winchester for a long time, been near Winchester, it's a hidden gem in the sense that you don't just stumble upon it, you have to know it's there to go and see it. So I think it definitely counts.
We have just seen about 10 tourists walk in, so I don't know how much of it is actually a hidden gem. I think maybe it's very well documented that it's there.
I mean, it's
for tourists.
It's a National Trust site, so it's you would know it's there, but like I say, you wouldn't know it's there just by walking down the street in Winchester. If you just came for the day, you would have to know that it is there.
Yeah.
And similarly, I think if you saw it and just looked at it, you wouldn't know the significance of it and why it's a National Trust site.
Well, should we go and find out?
I think we should.
otter.
Yeah.
Oh, they did say that you could see the otter cams. It's so loud in here, but this is awesome. This is all included. It's a free entry. You don't have to pay anything. We did do the suggested adult donation of £3 per person though, and that gives us entry to the watermill, the island garden, the cafe, and the second-hand bookshop. But you don't have to pay for anything. This is completely free to do. I would say, so far, it is steaming like a hidden gem, just in the sense that it is a gem. Regardless of the hiddenness, it's definitely a gem. This is the island garden. How beautiful is this? So at the beginning of the experience, when we walked in, there was a video tour and they had accessibility features for people who were sight impaired or blind. They had added description, which I think is a really nice touch as well. From the National Trust, it also means that you don't necessarily need to talk to people as you go around, even though there are tour guides. As you experience everything here, but look at this point. This is like the end of the island garden. It was revamped in 2023. It looks amazing, but this angle is definitely a little bit trippy. In there is just where we were standing, looking out. So it's nice to be able to see it from the other side. So I'm gonna try and get this over from one side to the other. I'm not very good at this. How do you do it?
Just move it.
So far, no issues. I'm sure that's all about to change.
What this is about speed. It's about speed and precision. I was
You got
close.
further than me.
I got like halfway. One more go?
Yeah, go on.
I've lost it. Good fun though. Good attempt.
So that was definitely very busy and not a hidden gem at all in the slightest traditional sense. But if you didn't know it was there, I'm so glad that we went. It was a very short attraction. It told you quite a lot of stuff. There was the National Trust Cafe as well, which didn't have many vegan options. I think there was one, and that's because you could substitute in vegan cheese. It was just a really nice attraction. I wouldn't say necessarily you should definitely 100% go. There wasn't too much going on. You didn't miss out, but it was free entry or a suggested donation. So if you've got the time and you're near the statue, you may as well pop in. So we are in the Great Hall, which is where King Arthur's table is, allegedly. It's up high on the wall. In all my shots it looks absolutely tiny, but it's huge, and I don't quite know how my camera's doing that. But we are also out in Queen Eleanor's garden, which is a recreation of a 13th century garden. So quiet. I guess we're not in the middle of Winchester, we're in the outskirts of the high street, but it's so quiet here. It's so relaxed. There are people over in the garden, over like opposite from us, but they're just chill. Everything's so quiet, and it's just such a nice space to come and relax. I feel like I can really put myself in the medieval mindset. I could come out here and be in my garden. Garden's inspired by Queen Eleanor, who is the daughter of Henry II and Queen Eleanor of Aquitaine. It was reopened in 1970 something by the Queen Mother. So nice to get a bit of fresh air in the middle of a city where otherwise it's a bit more busy and a bit loud. We've just got out of the round table.
Yep.
What did you think of the experience?
I loved it. Again, for a history nerd like me, Winchester is an absolute gold mine of so many attractions, so many things to see. Round table itself is quite interesting because there's no proven King Arthur to have ever actually existed. King Henry VIII was quite obsessed with Arthurian legend. That's why he had the round table restored to its original glory.
So you don't think it's real?
No. But there's a lot of interesting stuff in there about where Arthurian legend comes from, why Arthurian legend was important to Henry VIII, and why Arthurian legend is kind of important to Englishness as we know it today.
That's so interesting. Okay, so I thought that was, I bought it. I thought that was a restored table.
No, it is the restored table. King Arthur didn't exist, but we know that is the round table.
Full stop.
Full stop.
Yeah. I think it was a really nice experience. I do think it was worth the money to go round. It was the Great Hall and the Round Table. There was an exhibition upstairs. There was Queen Eleanor's garden.
Yeah.
All in all, I think it was like a really good part of the day. I think out of everything, this would probably be the one I leave.
Yeah. I think this is definitely, if you're really hungry for more history, come here and you do this last bit. Because the Great Hall itself was built by Henry II. That in itself is very interesting. As addition to the parts of the castle that William the Conqueror had ordered built in Winchester. So that in itself, like I say, if you're like me and you just gobble this stuff up for dinner, like, it's fabulous. But I think for the average person, you probably get everything you need to see out of the cathedral.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely gave cathedral vibes as well. If you like Gothic architecture, definitely come and see it. Again, I think it's worth it. I don't necessarily think it's something that is a must-do, like the cathedral I think is.
Yeah, important to mention that it was £8.50 as well for the whole year. We can come back any time. Gives us access to the Great Hall and the Westgate Museum.
Yeah,
which we
£8.50 each.
Yeah, so not cheap, probably a little bit expensive for what it is, but still very good.
Okay, and the last thing is, we didn't take any video in there, but there is a gift shop as well, and now I have a little King Arthur's table pin and I love it. So that was it for Winchester. We got a lot done. It was really nice, a really lovely day out. I think it's just such a lovely city. I'd definitely come back to Winchester in a heartbeat. It is so gorgeous. Is it worth your time and money to come to Winchester? The short answer is yes, absolutely. The longer answer is yes, but maybe plan your day a little bit like we did. We started at the bottom of the high street, right where the cathedral is, and walked all the way up through the high street to the top where the round table is. If you've been to Winchester already, please let us know down in the comments below. Where was your favourite place to visit? Did we miss anything? Should we come back and do more? Let us know. Please give this video a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and we'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye.